Narcissistic siblings can often do as much damage as a narcissistic parent. They are selfish, controlling, manipulative, and constantly need attention. They can cause so much trouble that they can actually tear a family apart. One thing different with a narcissistic sibling is that they sometimes know you even better than your parents do. This is particularly true with a narcissistic younger sister, who you may have always thought of as your adorable baby sister, except she's not so adorable anymore. Here are several tips for dealing with your narcissistic younger sister in an effective way. Most of these are effective tools for dealing with narcissists in general, too. Number 1. Broken record alert. Boundaries. I know that I am constantly harping on setting strong boundaries and enforcing them consistently, but it really is the only way to deal effectively with narcissism. Before giving you some helpful boundaries to set, it's important that you understand what boundaries are really all about. We think of boundaries as ways we can force other people to do something like respect us or treat us fairly. Boundaries are really all about respecting yourself, however, and treating yourself fairly. They are not about making other people do anything. Your boundaries are your way of telling yourself that you will take good care of yourself. When you set whatever your boundaries are with your narcissistic sister, you also want to let her know what the consequences for any violations will be. You might even consider giving her these in writing, so she can't claim she didn't know. The consequences can be anything from leaving the room to going no contact. What exactly they are is up to you and what you can tolerate. Consider them carefully and be clear when you tell her where the lines are located. Number 2. No justifications. When you do or say something to your narcissistic younger sister, don't justify your actions, opinions, or statements to her. To understand how it will make her see you, you have to remember that her personality disorder makes her feel superior to everyone around her. If you try to justify or even explain your actions to her, she will interpret that as you being weak. And if you're weak, she will exploit that fact. She has no empathy, so she can't understand how her actions affect you. Even if she is able to intellectually understand the consequences of her actions, she has no emotional connection to them. She won't have compassion for you in any circumstance, and anything you do to explain or justify your position will just inflame her more. Instead of justifying or explaining or arguing, just tell her what you're going to do or what your opinion is, and move on. You might feel the need to explain more, but doing so will only undermine any authority you have in her eyes. Number 3. Remember you have choices. When you have a narcissist in the family, it can feel like there aren't any good options. It can be very frustrating to feel like you're blocked at every turn. A narcissist will put up as many roadblocks as they can to force you into doing what they want you to do. That's why it's very important to remember that you have choices. You don't just have to give in to what they want. Even if your only good choice is walking away or cutting them out of your life, that's a choice you can make. It might be the only real choice you have to avoid their constant abuse. When you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, take a step back and remember that you don't have to continue to put up with your narcissistic younger sister's abuse. You have at least one good choice that you can make to end the abuse. Number 4. Reinforce her choices. My friend's narcissistic younger sister is always making herself out to be the victim of all the other family members. She rages on and on about how terribly other people treat her, especially her parents, who have supported her and enabled her bad behavior for years. When my friend can't stand it anymore, she reminds her toxic sister that she has made choices that have put her in that situation, and she can make choices to get out of it too. That often shuts down the toxic raging because her sister can't deny she has those choices. Narcissists often present any situation they don't like as if they're a hapless victim of circumstances who can't change anything. They want other people to pity them and act accordingly. The only way to deal with this kind of behavior is to put it right back onto your toxic baby sister. Point out the choices she has made that have contributed to her problems and the choices she could make to improve her situation. Number 5. Don't back down. When you're confronted with your narcissistic sister's rage and abuse, if you back down from her, you're giving her the power to continue acting that way. You have to stand up to her and not back down. It's not backing down, however, to simply leave the room until everyone can calm down. If she is behaving in an unacceptable manner, simply say, "I don't allow anyone, including you, to talk to me that way, so I'm leaving." Leave without saying another word. This will likely make her worse at first, but when she sees that you mean business, she will eventually change her ways. She won't be less narcissistic, but she will be less directly abusive to you. Number 6. Insist on courtesy. At the first sign of toxic behavior, remind your narcissistic sister that she will have to be courteous when she is dealing with you. Tell her that you will walk away from the conversation and refuse to talk to her until she acts in a courteous manner. You can't really let it go one time, or your toxic sister will see that as a weakness. She will continue to behave badly whenever she pleases, because she won't believe you will do anything about it. Number 7. Stop the conversation. If you're in an argument with your narcissistic younger sister, you're wasting your time. A narcissist will never admit they've done anything wrong, and they will always seek to blame other people. You'll never convince her that she had a role in any dispute or that she should have behaved differently. Narcissists are too full of toxic shame to admit such a thing. If they did, they would face the possibility of a narcissistic collapse. Since you're not going to get anywhere with her, it's just better to stop the conversation and walk away. That can be very difficult sometimes because you want to try to convince her of your side of things, but it won't work. The sooner you realize that your best option is to just stop talking and walk away, the better. It will also send a strong message about your boundaries to your little sister when you do so. Number 8. Watch out for triangulation. Your narcissistic sister will employ triangulation to try to destroy your relationship with other family members. The best thing you can do to combat this is to keep the lines of communication open with family members so you know when she's said something. If you hear something about a family member, go to them directly and tell them what she said. If they really did do or say what she said, then you need to clear the air with them. But most likely, you'll find out it was a lie. If you keep each other informed about what she says and does, you can prevent the kind of long-term relationship damage that often results from this kind of behavior. It's the only way to prevent yourself and your family members from building up resentment for reasons you don't even know about. Number 9. Be bluntly honest at all times. It's important to practice blunt honesty with your narcissistic younger sister at all times. You might not want to start a fight, and you're probably normally very courteous and kind, but if you try to be that way with your sister, she will take advantage of you. You have to simply tell the truth at all times. When she says something that hits you wrong or that you feel is unkind, say something to her right at that moment. Let her know that it's not okay and that you won't permit it. If she can't treat you with respect and kindness, you will break off all contact with her. Narcissists really don't like that, so it will have an effect. As I've said before, she won't be less narcissistic, but she will start to treat you differently to avoid the consequences you'll impose if she crosses a line. And number 10, keep a journal of what happened. Finally, a good strategy to employ with dealing with a narcissistic younger sister is to keep a journal of things that happen and things she says. Narcissists are experts at gaslighting. They want to make you think that what you thought you heard or saw isn't what actually happened. They want you to question your interpretation of reality. That way, you'll have to rely on them to get the correct interpretation. Clearly, that's not what you want, so keeping a journal can help you remember exactly what happened. If you have a conversation with her and she says something, write it down when it's still fresh in your memory. If it ever comes up again, you can go to your notes and remind yourself of exactly what happened. It's also helpful to add in how you interpreted what she said or did at that time. Your narcissistic baby sister might try to tell you she was only joking or that you're too sensitive, but how you felt about what she said at the time is a good indicator of what she really meant. In the end, narcissistic siblings can be as toxic as narcissistic parents, and they can do just as much damage to your self-esteem and the family dynamic. They wound you on an emotional level, and then they use those emotional triggers to try to manipulate and control you. What's more, sometimes they know you better than even your parents know you. But there are ways you can control how much their toxicity affects you, even if the narcissist in question is your adorable baby sister. I've created a method that can help you identify your emotional triggers and diffuse them. Once you've done that, you can heal the wounds that created them and free yourself from narcissistic manipulation and control. It's called the 5-Step Roadmap to Heal Emotional Triggers, and it's completely free. If you would like a copy of this handy guide, just click on the link below the video and I'll send it directly to your inbox today. Thanks for watching.